What's up, nerds? My name is Matt, and this is my review of LEGO's Lion Knight's Castle. The Lion Knight's Castle is set number 10305 and retails for $400 in the US. It comes with a whopping 4,514 pieces and includes 22 minifigures. This set is part of LEGO's 90 Years of Play, along with the Forest Hideout that I also reviewed on this channel. This set is obviously massive, and draws inspiration from a lot of the earlier sets that LEGO released, including set 375, their first castle ever. Also called the Yellow Castle, that set released in 1978 for around $50. After that came set 6080, the King's Castle, which released in 1986 for around $53. Both of those sets came with quite a few minifigures and introduced the hinging element that LEGO has continued to use for all their castle sets. Finally, we have the Black Knight's Castle, set number 6086, which released in 1992 for around $85. The box for this set is beautiful. It's huge, it's yellow, it has elements of their vintage styling, and the back is covered in what's basically LEGO castle porn. This set comes with two big manuals that are full of historical information, tidbits about the set, and little facts from the creators. And the way the instructions are set up, it's super easy for two people to build, or to build over several days, or like a week like I did. This set includes a whopping 22 minifigures, roughly split up between the military or castle population and the civilian population, and the build goes roughly the same way. The first instruction manual is devoted mainly to the living spaces over here, while the second manual covers the castle and military side over here. All in all, even with the time it took me, this set was a pleasure to build. There was very little repetition, and every part of it is just so fun and packed with detail and interesting construction techniques that I didn't get bored the entire time. There's maybe a little bit more repetition over on the castle side with all the gray bricks, but even that's broken up by the addition of the portcullis, the drawbridge, and the tree. The living area, on the other hand, is just it's amazing. I don't know what to say. It's amazing. This was probably the most fun I've ever had building Lego. The little vignettes created in each room are just amazing. They're amazing. I'm getting a little ahead of myself though. You know, the set is so big, it's sort of hard to talk about, but I think I'm going to break it up into the exterior and the interior. So let's start with the outside. So starting over here on the civilian side, we have these little trees that we see for the first time in this dark green color. The base of the castle portion mostly sits up on this large rock formation that you build, which is actually kind of fun to build, I think. And one great thing about that is that it provides the height you need for that functioning drawbridge so that you don't have to use a funky base plate like in one of the earlier castle sets. The exterior is broken up by a variety of bricks, either flat or textured. All of the windows look amazing. They have incredible detail. The molding and internal detail is really well done and looks amazing. And the texture you get from the way that they've compiled and composited all these different tiles and plates and flower pieces just looks fantastic. So we see a ramp, which is its own little mini build, which functions by way of this dial on the side of the castle. It raises and lowers really cleanly and precisely and looks fantastic. Now this, I think, actually was for me the trickiest part of the build. I messed it up once and had to go back and redo it. But once you figure out what the instruction manual wants you to do, it works amazingly well. Also on the front, we have the portcullis, which slams down with authority and just like looks fantastic. I love the way this thing looks. It looks amazing. Hold on, let me do it. I'm gonna do it right now. So that thing slams down and looks great. And also even sounds cool pulling it back up again with a little the clicking sound of the gears. The tree on the side also looks really nice. Again, with a black trunk, just like the Forest Hideout set, instead of brown, which actually looks pretty nice here. The foliage has a nice looking density, although that was a little bit tricky to put together too. But maybe my favorite part about it is this little beehive. I don't know. On the left, this rock piece rotates away and becomes the hidden entrance to the Forest Guardian's hideout underneath the castle. To the right of the tree, this rock piece slides to the left and provides a hidden access to the dungeon. There's a back entrance to allow access to the keep. Is that what this is called? A keep? Maybe it's a keep. And on the residential side, rotating things out turns what once was a porch into a bridge. It looks amazing from every angle and any configuration, and is just fantastic engineering on the part of the creators. Again, on the residential side, we have this timber-framed home with black and white bricks and tiles, and a thatched roof that just looks amazing. And the tops of the castle are finished off with these rounded bricks brought over from LEGO's Dot collection. Also on the outside, we have this little brown frog piece. That is not a frog. We're going to get to that in a minute. Moving on to the interior, we have 3 floors of detailed vignettes. On the top of the castle side, we see an armory with swords, crossbows, axes, and other weapons. And below that is the entrance of the castle, where there's a tiny stable that allows you to fit in 1 horse. On the very bottom, we have 2 dungeons, one of which leads to the secret passageway outside, and the other one which is occupied by our unfortunate friend here. Rip Dragon Knights. In the bottom corner, across from the dungeon, there's a space with a bench and a treasure chest full of gems and jewels and coins. Above that, we see a weapon rack with 2 versions of the Lion Knight's shields, with a balcony up top and stairs that lead down to, well, let's just call it a brown frog factory. Moving over to the civilian side, we have a beautiful kitchen packed full of detail. We have this table area and the wall behind it covered in fruits and vegetables, including a parsnip, which we've never seen before, I don't think, in Lego. There's a stairwell that leads up, which has a really nice looking basin of water, an oven with fire in it. Opposite that, we have the mill powered by the, what is this thing called? Water wheel? Is that what it's called? Oh, okay. Opposite the kitchen, we have a mill used for grinding up grain, powered by the water mill outside. By rotating the water wheel, we can see the mill rotating inside, and it looks pretty cool. I mean, cool. There's a sack of grain in the room, and a chest with 2 functioning drawers. Above that, we have the stately-looking dining room, with 2 chairs and a tablecloth, and 3 beautifully printed shields inspired by the shields released with a 375 castle released in 1978. I maybe would have liked to see white underprinting on these shields so the collars pop a bit more, but they look great, including the metallic gold just looks really, really nice. On the other side of that dining room, we see a fireplace with a little fire inside, a hatchet and a log of wood. Above the dining room, we have a child's bedroom with a great-looking bed, a rug, a table with a letter on top, another fireplace, and yellow and green flags spanning the top. The other side of that room has a really nice-looking door and a tiny scaled-down version of that very first castle set in yellow. Now again, this set comes with 22 minifigures, more than any other castle set LEGO has released. Starting off at the very top with the Queen, she comes with custom printed ceremonial garb with a crown, or you can prepare her for battle with chest armor, a custom helmet, and a custom shield, and a custom sword that's bigger than all the other swords. That's funny. She has a nice looking hairpiece that looks a little bit like a young Queen Elizabeth, a really great determined looking face on one side and a big smile on the other, and a really nicely printed cape. I think things are starting to go kind of downhill if she needs to start fighting, but still, the Queen knows the value of proper sword edge alignment. The rest of the Lion Knights have the same torso and leg pieces, but have a variety of helmets, weapons, heads, chest armor, axes, shields, bows or no bows. And one of them even has a horn to announce incoming delegations or even to let the castle know when shit's getting real. Because if you're going to take up residence in this fancy castle, everyone fights. Everyone. Lastly, the Queen's horse comes with some beautiful red and blue barding. Speaking of the incoming delegation, we get 3 black falcons here. The most badass one rides on his own horse with blue and black barding, a cool shield, an awesome looking helmet with black plume, and an all black sword. I don't know if this thing is obsidian or like DLC coded or what's going on with it, but it looks awesome. Another black falcon holds a flag and is armed with a sword, and the last one is stuck carrying all the gear for the other 2. How is that fair? I don't know. I know how much it sucks to carry a huge pack with a ton of gear because I've done it before. And all I can say is, I hope the Black Falcons have insurance. In the last part of the quasi-military folk, we have the Forest Guardians. We get a male and female figure, both of whom are surgeons with a bow, and a little girl holding a toy wooden figure. You would think that both of the minifigures are her parents, but actually, one of the Lion Knights is her dad. It ended up causing a lot of drama. 2 Lion Knights had to end up going to another kingdom. It was a whole big thing, and we don't talk about it anymore. Next, we have the wizard. He sort of straddles the line between the civilian and the military population. He didn't enlist or anything. He doesn't wear a uniform exactly, but you can bet that the Queen calls on him for unspecified needs from time to time. There's a guy who I assume is the baker or chef. There's a woman with longer white hair and a dress and a nice green shade. There's a gentleman with sideburns and a pitchfork and a blue version of the Robin Hood hat and a little lamb that he's totally not taking to the kitchen. A cool little cart with hay. And his son. Or nephew? I don't know. There's a kid with him. The printing on all of these minifigures looks great, and I'm so glad that we get enough to really fill out the castle and make it look alive. If you're into playing with your LEGO sets, then you certainly have enough figures here to create all kinds of crazy stories and move them around and play with them and stuff. Yeah. This set is so big and so detailed, I feel like there are lots of tiny little things that I didn't even mention. The way that the vines creep and crawl over portions of the castle, the way all of the rooms and spaces stand out on their own and have their own little story to tell, but combine together to form a larger room, the beautiful detailing we see through clever part usage on a lot of the windows and openings, and in the bell tower. I didn't even get to the bell tower. There's a bell tower. These very narrow slotted windows, which are perfect for archers, were created through some really clever use of snot pieces and tiles. And look, we get a working portcullis and drawbridge that when lifted sends figures straight down to the dungeon. The build was incredibly satisfying with very little repetition or boring areas. The way that the designers made use of all these hinges and curved pieces and angled pieces to fit together in unique and unexpected ways that feel organic and natural. I could go on about this set for an hour, I think, and not get tired. This looks amazing on a shelf in any combination, whether you're looking at the interior, the exterior, or a combination of both. If you're a fan of Lego castles, this set is a masterpiece. It's hard to imagine Lego releasing any other castle that outshines this one. If you're not a huge fan of Lego castles and you just wanted to watch me talk about this set for however long this video is, then you're super awesome and I love you. I want to spend just a few minutes talking about the cost because this set is expensive. It's $400 in the US, which puts it unfortunately out of range for a lot of people who really love Lego Castle. Now, don't get me wrong, I would love to have seen this set released for $350 or even $300. I mean, hey, if you make it $100, I'll buy 10 of them. Well, maybe not 10, maybe like 2, maybe 2. But unfortunately, Lego has priced this set at $400, and you're gonna have to decide if it's worth that amount for you. To me, as someone who loves Lego Castle and had castle sets when I was a kid, I think this set is amazing and was worth the $400. But you may not, and that's okay. But if you are a big fan of Lego Castle, and this is outside of your budget right now, I would strongly suggest looking at the 3-in-1 Creator Castle that Lego recently released for $100. It's definitely not as detailed or built to the same scale as this one here, but it's a great looking set, and I wouldn't mind having one, and at $100, a quarter of the price of this set, it might be what you're looking for. Alright everyone, that concludes my review of Lego's Lion Knight's Castle. Thank you so much for watching. I'm a pretty new channel, this is only my 3rd video, so if you enjoyed this review, I would really appreciate a like and maybe a subscribe if you want. But until next time, my name is Matt. Later nerds.